Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Good Morning Cortland, where we recap the biggest events of the week. First up, U.S. Congresswoman Claudia Tenney officially conceded in the race for New York's 22nd Congressional District this week. Tenney conceded defeat to Utica Democrat Anthony Brindisi, who won by a slim margin of fewer than 5,000 votes. The election for the 22nd District was one of the tightest in the nation. Brindisi had declared victory on election night, but an error with a voting machine in Cortland County ended up delaying the final results for 3 weeks. Now on to this week's top story. The executive director of the Cortland Downtown Partnership says several annual events are in jeopardy of being canceled next year due to funding cuts that were approved by the Cortland County legislature last night. At a public hearing Thursday night, dozens of community members spoke out against the cuts, but ultimately the county legislature voted to approve its 2019 budget and the occupancy tax allocations. The Downtown Partnership's executive director, Adam McGivern, said that the funding cuts mean that staple events like Cortland Pumpkin Fest, Chillabration, and the annual New Year's Eve celebration might not happen next year. The county says the spending cuts had to happen because the Ramada Inn Hotel has yet to pay $70,000 in occupancy taxes that is owed to the county. And for this week's interview segment, I had the chance to catch up with Peter VanderWoude, president of Equus Advisors, accounting and tax professionals, who offered advice for how to balance your budget heading into the holiday season. Hey everyone, it's Peter Blanchard from the Cortland Voice, and I'm here at the offices of Equus Advisors, accounting and tax professionals in downtown Cortland. I'm joined by their president, Peter VanderWoude, who's here to talk to us this morning a little bit of some personal finance advice, but we're also going to touch on some relevant topics in that industry. Peter, thank you for joining us. If you could first just tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and how you came to be an accountant here.
I grew up on a dairy farm south of Marathon, on a hill overlooking Kilowog, and my thoughts back then were furthest from doing anything like accounting. And very few people grow up wanting to be an accountant. However, when I went to my undergraduate institution in Ithaca and took some courses in business management and eventually accounting, I found that I enjoyed the business concepts, and once I graduated and got into the working day world, I enjoyed working with operating reports that came from the corporate offices and analyzing them. So I went to Binghamton University for my master's in accounting, became a CPA, working between Syracuse, Ithaca, and Cortland. And through my career, I always did something financial. And here in 2014, I began my business as Equus Advisors. I want to correct the pronunciation. Okay, and Equus is the Latin term for horse or equine. And I grew up with horses, so that's one of the reasons I used that name. And in 2015, I purchased from Paul Lorenzo Cortland Bookkeeping and Tax Services. This year, in 2018, is the 75th year of the firm. We like to think that we provide very good personalized service, and we have 3 main areas of services that we provide, and that is in accounting bookkeeping services, payroll services, and tax services.
Touching on the issue of personal finance, what are some basic tips you can offer for viewers and that you may offer to your clients?
I think that the first thing is to have organized and complete records. So many times, particularly if you're an independent contractor, you get cash receipts or credit card receipts, and you're just not on top of your books. And then you come to me at the end of the year to do your tax return with a shoebox full of receipts. And I'm supposed to make sense of that. It's not unusual, but that's certainly not a good way of starting. Once we have complete organized records, we can then see how you're doing revenue-wise, expense-wise, different categories of expenses. We can compare year by year to see how you're doing. And ultimately, we take a look at your tax return. What can we do from perhaps deferring revenue, accelerating expenses through depreciation and different programs there, and certainly the new tax law has made that even more attractive, and then tax credits. So those are the 3 areas on the tax return we work with to minimize your tax liability.
And lastly, this is the part of the show where you get to shamelessly self-promote your business. Where can people learn more about Equus Advisors?
Self-promotion, we have a website where I publish articles monthly to the blog, and the website is at equuscpa.com, EQUUSCPA.com. And there's a list of our services. There is background in each one of our staff members. You can certainly send a message to me through the website indicating if you have any interest with some of our services, be it accounting, bookkeeping, payroll, or taxes. And we also do consulting for QuickBooks.
Peter VanderWoude, President of Equus Advisors. Thanks for being on the program.
Thank you, Peter.
Well, that does it for this week's show. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and get notified when we post new episodes, and visit CortlandVoice.com for your latest top stories.